of its kind national strategy to combat anti-Semitism, unveiled this week, comes as a staggering rise in hate crimes is directed at Jewish communities. The White House plan outlines more than 100 calls to action. In concept, the plan was widely well received, but there are questions and concerns about the details. And we take that to South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is live with us today and who also sponsored a resolution recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month that passed the House unanimously this week. Congresswoman, I'll put my dentures back in. Good morning. Great to have you.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So this White House plan comes on this, the FBI stats are eye-popping, a record number of acts of hate, specifically against Jewish communities. Why is that? What is the context? Why now?
Well, I think it's part of a couple of reasons, and I'm really glad to be able to be here to talk about this. And I'm so proud of the Biden administration and President Biden's effort in recognizing how virulent anti-Semitism has become, and that a U.S. strategy to counter anti-Semitism was necessary. Just in Broward County and Miami-Dade counties alone, we've had a 47% increase in Miami-Dade County and a 52% increase of anti-Semitic incidents in Broward County. At 63% nationwide of religious hate crimes and hate incidents have been targeted at the Jewish community.
So why now? What do you attribute that to? Does anyone have a reason for that?
I think a lot of it is attributable to the spread of hate online, because before, we were able to communicate virtually. Most of the hate communication and speech really was word of mouth and not as easily spread. Now, unfortunately, because of the algorithms of social media companies, they are actually boosted because they send these messages to eyeballs that want to see them, and then they feed more and more content. I'm actually the co-chair of the Interparliamentary Task Force to combat online anti-Semitism. And we've had a hearing in the United States, in the Capitol last fall. We have another one coming up at the end of June in Belgium, because it's critical that we combat this worldwide, because really there are no borders when it comes to the spread of hate because of the ability for it to race around the internet and the algorithms that promote it. So we need policies in place for that type of spread of hate as well.
Yeah, so hate and hate crimes is, and the work to combat that is kind of a unifying issue in Congress. You see it, especially with your resolution this week, got bipartisan unanimous support. So that's kind of a no-brainer. So why is the addressing anti-Semitism specifically so much more complicated? And especially within the progressive wing of your own party, why is it that complicated?
Well, the approach to dealing with hate is very multifaceted. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, which is why the president's plan to combat anti-Semitism is multifaceted. We needed a national strategy. I had a summit that I planned and hosted just this past week here in South Florida, because you've got to really bring these approaches to combating hate local. We brought together interfaith leaders, law enforcement, national security experts, digital experts to really come together so that we could more granularly dive deeply into how do you get to the root causes of hate and how do we present a united front against it. And that really has to be done very close up so that people understand, how to combat the hate that they're seeing so often and so regularly, because it's intimidating. And it's also often, there's a lot of uncertainty around what an individual can do to fight back against that hate.
So the White House plan is about 100 recommendations or so. It looks like it includes education, it includes awareness, cultural exchange, and of course there's a component of safety and security measures for Jewish communities. The biggest criticism, it appears, is that the actual definition of anti-Semitism was sort of in play, and that's a bit confusing. The president did not use what the definition that is broadly accepted from the International Holocaust Remembrance Awareness, which is the definition of anti-Semitism in mainstream use. Why was that such an issue for just the basic definition?
Well, I think it's important not to cloud the robust nature of the strategy with a hyper focus on the definition. But I will correct you and just say that the strategy does embrace the IRA definition, which includes Zionism and anti-Zionism specifically as a form of anti-Semitism, and that when you associate Zionism with Jew hatred, that is anti-Semitism, and that we have to make sure that we call it out. They did recognize other strategies, one in particular that wasn't that different from the IRA definition. So overall, that should not cloud that there was not only a national strategy, but President Biden committed his administration to implement it within a year. And so making sure that we take that holistic approach, Glenna, at the federal, state, and local level, and through the private sector and across faith and cultural communities is absolutely critical for us to fight anti-Semitism successfully in all forms of hate.
So that kind of segues into my next question, and a lot of people probably have not seen this video of the commencement speech at the City University of New York. It went kind of viral despite apparent attempts to keep it from doing so. The student speaker literally called for a fight against capitalism, against racism, against Zionism around the world, and included in her speech some anti-Semitic tropes that got wide applause at this commencement ceremony, including from some of the CUNY staff. This is a public school in New York. What do you make of that, and how does that fit into this new plan?
Well, the speech and its content was revolting, and it was anti-Semitic, and the fact that it took the CUNY leadership to 2 weeks to even respond and come out against it and condemning it, that was outrageous in and of itself. There's no question that she should not have been chosen as the commencement speaker. She supposedly submitted her speech in advance. I don't know how much of it, because she went longer than she was supposed to. But this is the kind of problem we have on college campuses. And our summit this past week had a panel about anti-Semitism on campus, and it's really a problem. But the Biden administration actually just took action against the University of Vermont and has opened investigations into anti-Semitism at GW in Washington, D.C. and other universities. And at the University of Vermont, they actually took action against the university because they grossly failed to protect Jewish students on campus. They had a teacher's assistant who was actually docking Jewish students for participation, not giving Jewish students credit, applauding that an Israeli flag was taken down was yanked down from a student's room, and they just really patently ignored and failed to follow up and investigate, as federal law requires, that hatred towards Jewish students. So that's what's so important, is that we make sure that we use the levers of power that are necessary to combat hate in all of its forms. And anti-Semitism, unfortunately, when it comes to religious hate, has had the most significance and has spread the most quickly.
A lot of work to do. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, appreciate your time this morning. Always great to see you.
You too, Glenna. Thank you so much.